What is up, everyone? It's Odin here on this Monday morning, not Sunday evening. Oh, they say third time's a charm, and I certainly hope so. I'm getting tired of saying the same shit over and over again. So, late Sunday night, I made a video. Basically, what I'm going to talk about now. My normal Sunday video, but it was really late. It was actually bleeding over into Monday after midnight. Uploaded it, and I want to make sure it went through and everything, and then it got blocked because I was doing another Red Dwarf episode 2. Last time I did episode 1, this time I did episode 2. But I play it up in the corner, and last time it worked fine, so I was like, oh, I'll make it a little bigger. And I think I made it too big. And then they're like, it's blocked in every country, in every way. This video will never see the light of day, so I just deleted it. And I'm like, all right, I'll give it another shot. And so I went to bed, and then I woke up, and I was trying to do it earlier. And about halfway through, like I'd been talking for a long time, and it was going good, and I'm like, this will be a good video. Then, had to take a dump. But it was one of those ones where it was like, there's no holding it. And it'd be stupid for me to pause the video while I went and took care of business. So I was like, fuck, well, there goes that one. And, yeah, we'll give it another shot. Anyway, happy Monday to all of you. It is Monday before, it is Independence Day Eve, as I like to call it. Independence Day Eve. It's Monday the 3rd. Tomorrow's 4th of July, Independence Day. So I hope your holiday is safe and fun and explosive. You stay cool, stay hydrated, but have a good time. And celebrate what, by the very name of it, implies celebration. Independence Day. So, yeah. Hope it's an awesome holiday time for you. Because it's a big holiday. It's important to me anyway. I think it's an important holiday. Like I said, even by the name itself, Independence Day. It's such a great name. Of course, a lot of people just call it 4th of July, and I get that, but I'd rather call it Independence Day. So anyway, what a week it's been. Like I said, I've already explained this whole spiel 3 times. I'm tired of talking about it, but there was a lot to pack in or to talk about. I took time off work, so from Wednesday of last week up until the day after the holiday, so Wednesday of this week, I'm off of work. All this time off. So glad. I thought I was going to get a lot of like packing and shit like that done. No. And too much other shit going on. So Wednesday I booked time at the recording studio to do the vocals for Kill Them Dead. We have 2 tracks done, fully done, music-wise. Very epic tracks done by Jacob Lazette, and a phenomenal musician. He did all the instrumentation, the composition, amazing tracks. And then all I had to do was do lyrics and vocal melodies. James helped with the lyrics, and then vocal melodies, make sure it sounds great. And actually, Jacob had done some of the vocal melody parts, but we're not using his vocals, but on the first track. So these 2 epic tracks that are part of the Kill Them Dead album. And so I had studio time to go in with my friend Wade at his studio and laid out on those vocal tracks. It was Wednesday and was in there from noon to 4. And we got it almost all banged out on those 2 tracks. Like I said, they're long, but we did do really good, just getting them boom, boom, boom. And then Wednesday night was my friend Ryan's bachelor party, and I was part of the wedding. Now, typically, the person officiating the wedding doesn't go to the bachelor party, but in this case, I was definitely part of it. I was almost like the extra groomsman. But that was great. Party into the night, knowing that I had to be back at the studio at noon on Thursday, the next day. So then I go into the studio on Thursday, finish up my vocal parts, but I had my buddy Josh come down to lay down some harmony tracks and just thicken up the vocals with another voice. Josh is a phenomenal phenomenal singer, but he's also just a phenomenal voice man. So there was these narration parts, and on Wednesday I did all the narration parts, but I wanted Josh to lay it because I knew he was going to just destroy it. But I'm really good at narration. And Wade was even like, "Oh, those are awesome. You know, like, you sure you want Josh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I want to see what Josh does, but don't play him what I did. Let him just do what he's going to do." And he brutalized those narration parts in such a phenomenal way. He's so good. And he was really excited to do that. He's like, "Is there going to be narration? Is there going to be, talking?" And I was like, yeah. So anyway, we've got all his stuff done, all my stuff done. Some fun sessions in the studio with Wade and with Josh. Just a blast. And those two songs, all the vocals are there. I have rough mixes right now, like really rough mixes, but they're, I can tell, and I know there's a lot for Wade. Now he gets to do the sound engineer thing and really tighten everything up. If you're a little off time, you can adjust it. He can do all that shit. And then, I have really good pitch, and so does Josh, but there's still places to do pitch correction, and that is modern recording nowadays. But for the final product, I told him this is probably not something that's ever going to be performed live. Maybe it will, but don't worry about that. This is a recorded project. We want it to sound so we can layer things, we can do lots of stuff. Again, that's all out of pocket. So it's still time constraints because, Wade has a reasonable price, but it's not cheap. Nonetheless, he's really good though. Because the place I recorded all my other band stuff here in Spokane was Amplified Wax, which is Jimmy Hill. And Jimmy's awesome and kind of got a reputation as the premier studio in Spokane. But Jimmy is a protege of Wade's. And then Wade specializes. His speciality is vocal production. So I was really excited to go to Wade. He was really excited once he was hearing what we're doing. And just when I told him the whole scope of the project, that it's not just music. You got to tell the music people, it's not just music, it's a book. And then you got to tell the book people, it's not just a book, it's music. But I really wanted to get some of these tracks finished. They're so good. And I wanted people to know that the music is a big part of this project. It's not a throwaway thing. It's not we're just throwing some music on there and it's going to be clip music or, or something, or just shit. It's we're taking the time to make this very, very good quality. And that's a big investment out of pocket to get things going. We have to crowdfund the whole thing to get it to a point where we can record everything and publish and produce everything. But all the pieces are there and we have things going. So we've got artwork being shown, James and I writing all the time. We're nearing the completion on the actual writing of it, or at least the main meat and potatoes. We'll probably go in and rewrite some things like what's going to be on the page, but we have page by page layouts for the artist. And then seeing artwork all the time from Demina and Skunk Artworks, and everything they're showing looks phenomenal and we're super excited about it. But the music side of things, we can start sharing that here soon. So that was our big idea, was we would we're going to use clips from these songs in promotional videos and such. But we had talked about it. We're going to make one of the tracks, the full track, completed this one full track, available as an MP3 download for everyone who signs up on the Indiegogo page. It's important to see the Indiegogo page because you can't see the emails on Kickstarter, but we see the emails on Indiegogo. If you sign up on the Indiegogo page, we'll send you the MP3 download of the one track once it's done. It's not done yet. But that track is to be shared. It's to be promoted. We want extended promotion, so if you know someone who likes that kind of music, it's heavy power metal, and you go, listen to this project is not just the music, it's this book, but here's an example of the music, and it's going to be 2 LP length, over 80 minutes of music. I mean, I imagine it's going to be closer to 100 when it's all done. And, yeah. So we want that to get in people's hands so they can play it and hear it and know that we're not fucking around. Like, this shit is good. Yeah, and it is. It's, and it's, like I said, share it out there. I don't care. It's like, that's the whole point of it, is to have it be understood that this is connected to this project. Go sign up, get ready for the launch, and hopefully we get tons of backers as well. So, but we want more signups. We need more signups to feel good about it, and that's kind of where we're at. Some people have told me there's some buzz building and these things, and I'm like, okay, I just need that to translate over to signups so that we know where we're at, because this is a big undertaking. Like I said, and I'm investing a lot out of pocket, as well as James, because we believe in the project. We think it's going to be badass when all is said and done. But we have to know that we can produce it, because this is not like a project I could just fund out of pocket, or either of us or as a company could do that. That's where the crowdfunding definitely comes in. But we're going to have some good examples of the direction and what it's going to be like. So anyway, all that was all studio time and where we're at with the music and with Kill Them Dead. Super excited to share it. I'd love everyone to hear both tracks, because I think they're bangers. I mean, it's really good stuff, and that's just 2 out of the full album. So anyway, those are being mixed, mastered, all that stuff. So anyway, got that done Thursday night, hung out with a friend at an Airbnb and had a great time. And then Friday, I had a pretty lazy Friday. I was working on my speech for this wedding as the officiant. And then we had the rehearsal. And then at the rehearsal, they're all like, hang out, let's hang out late. And I was like, I'm going to go back to the house and work on this. Because I didn't want to go up there with a piece of paper. And there was no podium. If I had a podium, I would have had my notes. But I didn't want to stand there with a piece of paper, or even just hiding it. I didn't want that. I wanted to have it pretty well beaten into my head so that I could recite it and do the whole thing. Now, they didn't know I was going up there without notes, so they were freaking out. They're like, wait, where are your notes? But that was on Saturday when the actual wedding happened. But they weren't freaking out. They knew knew what I was doing. But of course, I say I knew what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never done it before. So I got all... So he had asked me to be the officiant of his wedding, and I was totally flattered and humbled. And I was like, sure, of course, man. I had to get ordained, all this stuff, which is really easy online. It's not like a big thing. But the bigger thing is doing the ceremony. I'm like, what do you guys want? Blah, blah, blah. And so at the rehearsal, as we're going through everything, I'm cracking jokes, and I'm like, and Ryan's kind of looking at me like, what are you doing, man? And I told him right there, I was like, well, I can make this as light or as solemn as you want it, it's your wedding, but if you want lighthearted, I can do that. And I think he started to worry once I said that. He's like, no, I know you. I know how blue you'll take it. But, which I would never do in a public setting like that. But I was like, no, I mean, we'll just, if it were me, I would want totally light. I don't want people to be stuffy or too solemn. But it's actually more about what Audra wanted. It's the woman's very much Ryan's what does she think? And that was always his go-to answer. So. As was mine when I got married once. But that said, I could tell by the look, keep it pretty straight. I only made a few little light jokes just to cut the tension and bring a little bit of levity, but not jokes, just a little humor, lightheartedness. But from what everyone told me, I did good. I didn't worry about it for my sake. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna be embarrassed, but it's your wedding and you're my friend, and I want it to be awesome for you. You know, I would only feel bad because, you know, if it's not really awesome for you. So, but after it was over, everybody kept telling me that I did great, so that made me feel good. But then the best was when I announce them and say, "You can kiss the bride. You may now kiss the bride." You know, behind me was this beautiful panoramic scenery because it was up in the mountains and you could see for miles and miles, and the sun setting. And so, once they said, "You may now kiss the bride," then I stepped away back over by the groomsmen, and then all the guys in the groom's party were like all fist bumping me and like, "That was great, man." So I must have did well because that was a cool response to get from those guys, who have now become friends of mine. I didn't know any of them. Well, I met them all, most of them at a Super Bowl party, and then maybe one or two other get-togethers at Ryan's house, but they're like a lot younger than me, most of them. No, all of them. I was the oldest guy. And then they just have a different style. They're a little more preppy than like what I'm used to. Like, I'm a heavy metal punk rock guy who's used to like dingy, dirty, hardcore kind of people. And they're talking about golf and stuff. Like, they all talk about golf. But I'm like, yeah, I don't play golf. But we can talk about other sports. A lot of them play baseball, football, basketball. Hoop Fest is a thing here in Spokane, a 3-on-3 street ball tournament. And most people around here that play basketball, you know, sign up for Hoop Fest. And so they were all like doing that Hoop Fest, which was cool. I've never done it, but I'm decent at basketball. Not the best. I have height, but I don't have vert. I don't have any vertical leap. I also don't have the endurance. I smoke, you know, so there's that. But I have a pretty good jump shot. It's not much of a jump on that jump shot, but it's a good shot. Sometimes I'm way off, but yeah, anyway. They also snowboard, ski, and all that stuff. But it's a lot like more like preppy kind of stuff. Hey, we hunt and fish, and it's like, that's cool. You know, like, there were things we could relate, but typically not the type of crowd I would normally be friends with. But because Ryan and I became friends through work, like, and all these guys, he like grew up with them, you know, played baseball and Little League with them. You know, like, they know each other, families know each other, all that stuff. So I was kind of outsider, but they were super cool. And by the end of it, yeah, all became friends. And they're like, "Before you move, we got to hang out and do this again," you know. So I'll try to hang out with those guys again. Yeah, and then, you know, party into the night after the wedding, and we had a great time. But at a certain point, everybody was still partying. I'm like, I'm going to go. I'm tired. Luckily, my house is not far from where the wedding was being held. And I'm like, I'm just going to go. Yeah, love y'all. See ya. And then yesterday I did virtually nothing. I was just beat because that was a long week. But those two things, the vocals and the wedding, both had a lot of implied pressure, you know, on me. But I like that. I thrive in those. I love that. I love going in the studio and being like, it's go time, you know. Or when I used to do live performance, it's time to go on stage. Get out there and do your best, you know. But there is that pressure on the recording studio. It's like you're paying for this, and you want to get it all done and knocked out, and you're using every bit of energy, and you want your voice to be at its best, and you're singing the tracks over and over and over again, and every time, like, giving it everything you got. And, you know, it's kind of exhausting. And then the pressure of the wedding, I'm like, I never done this before. I hope I don't fumble the ball, you know. Like, I want to do right by my friends and make this ceremony awesome. Because I would hate for it to be like, that was a beautiful ceremony, except that jackass you got to officiate your wedding, he sucked. So I'm like, there was a lot of pressure for that. Then you're up there in tux and like monkey suit, and like it's not your normal look. Everything's different than your normal daily interactions and stuff. You're like, but when it is go time, I do usually thrive in those situations. So I'm like, I like that. I liked it. I was very happy to do these things. But that said, it was exhausting, and now it's Monday, and I'm like, I haven't done shit since the wedding, and I probably should start getting some stuff done. Anyway, I haven't got much drawing done in a long time, so that's why I threw up another old image. This is a print of this drawing. Courtney from Courtney's Fellowship of Oddballs. I can't remember her YouTube channel name, but she's a friend. We've crossed paths on many streams and chats and stuff. Well, when we launched Unconditional Shove back on LCH Jeremy or LCH Talk, that channel, with Jeremy, who's extremely gracious, awesome host, by the way, but and allowed us to launch on his channel. It wasn't without his hiccups, but he was awesome. The whole crew of guys on there is awesome. Aldous has become a friend. Ravener, Snuggy, they're all super cool. And Jeremy, of course, I mean, excellent host, cool guy. So we launched there, but we did a giveaway of original art. I did a random number generator for this one, and Courtney got it. And every time she streams, it's like on her wall behind her, the original of this. Now, I do have to explain, this piece is not, like, it's not totally original me. Like, the pose and the perspective and things were all taken from John Cassidy's cover for Daredevil. I can't remember the issue number, but it's the same pose with Bullseye beaten down and Daredevil standing over him. But I took it and made, so it's not homage, it's after Cassidy, I guess would be the proper way to say it. But I redrew it in my own style, but it's the same. But anyway, he didn't have the same background like the Hell's Kitchen, like I added that. And, did some of the shading and musculature, because his was all the shading was color. You know, it wasn't really done on the ink side of it. And I'm like, well, this probably just always be black and white, so let's use some heavy black for the shadowing and for the background and stuff. So that said, it was a lot of fun, and it was at a time when I was like trying to relearn some skills and dive in, and so I'm like, I don't want to think about the composition of a page. I want to take an image that's cool and just draw it. So yeah. But nonetheless, like, you could look at his side by side with mine, you can see the difference. I think mine's better still to this day. But what was weird was I was following some of his anatomy, and I'm like, I don't like this. That doesn't seem proper, you know, like, and I kind of just did it his way, where I'm like, you should have just done your own style of anatomy. Like, now I did a little bit, but like some of the muscles, I'm like, that doesn't, it's all right. It still looks cool. So that's the image. Haven't got much drawing done. Working on page 4 or 5, I can't remember, on a new Unconditional Shove story that I've been making, which I got the pencils done. They're underneath here, but I'm not going to show them. And then let's see, what other Unconditional Shove, let's talk about that, because that is coming to an end. I made a Facebook post about it, and I've been meaning to do an update on the campaign page, and just haven't had time, because those I want to be really meticulous and make them good updates with like good imagery. But the letters are all done and look great, and we're going to print, and we'll have books soon, and we're going to close it down on, I believe, on Saturday. I don't think it's been finalized. I'll talk to James tonight, but it'll be on the Broken Compass comic channel. And we'll do a closeout stream, have fun, hang out, all that good shit, but also celebrate. This is the first book I ever made. And even though my brain's already like moved on, I'm like, on to the next, you know. But like, when I get these Unconditional Shove books in hands, it's, you know, I might even just tear up a little bit. Who knows? But nevertheless, it's coming to an end. So this week, up until Saturday, I believe Saturday is going to be the closeout, is your last chance to get in on the ground floor of Unconditional Shove. And I talk about this a lot. It's the only place that 6-page Coal of Atlantis story, which I still believe is some of my best work. It was really fun to make. That's the only place that's ever going to be. So if you get in on Unconditional Shove Volume 1 on a second printing, it's not going to have the Coal story, and everyone's going to know you're a Johnny-come-lately. You don't want to be that. You don't want sloppy seconds. You want to get in on it right away. But yeah, that's closing down. I do need to make that update for the campaign page, just to kind of say here's where it's at. Probably that update, and then once we're printing and fulfilling, I'll make another update, and then kind of go from there. But it's getting printed in Canada. James will fulfill the Canadian orders, and then he'll ship everything to me that goes U.S. or international beyond Canada. And yeah, super freaking excited for that. It was a bit of a challenge. So that's the thing. I want to show like a black and white versus a color, and with like the same page and the letters on it, the lettering on it, but like the differences. I just haven't got around to doing it. But I want to pick a page that's not gonna like give things away, but it's also gonna, because I shared a lot of art, but there was no lettering on those pages most of the time, so it's like it's not giving anything away. But I also want to highlight James' work on his lettering skills and show that the black and white and color, they do have their own feel. But that was one of the challenges, was you can't just like do universal things. You have to like adjust it, and so that proved a little more difficult for James than initially thought, I think, because like for Bastards, when he did that, there wasn't a black and white version. Now there is a black and white version that is getting printed for the Shove campaign for everybody who got that add-on. But so anyway, that Unconditional Shove, we're just nearly wrapped up, and you know, everything's really focused on Kill Them Dead in a lot of ways as far as promotion, and having this music is like a big step in the right direction. I want you guys to hear it. It's so good. And then there's also Magnificent Bastards #2, which is in sign up now, but I've seen pages of that come through from Samir, and it's some of his best work. It's phenomenal looking. I know where the story's going. It's you're gonna want that. Either way, whether you got issue 1 or whether you missed out, because there'll be a catch up, but like the stuff looks awesome. The story is off the chain, as is Kill Them Dead, as is our style here at PCC, because all the Shove stories are off the chain too. So yeah, so that's the updates. I'm gonna try this again, and I'm gonna try to do it really quick. I might even be able to mess with the playback speed. That might help too. But I definitely got to make it smaller so I don't get in trouble. Let me see if I can figure out the playback speed. I probably could. Playback speed. Let me see how this looks real quick. It doesn't look like it's playing any faster. Whatever. I should have done all this already. Alright. We'll just do that. Okay, so display capture. Why is it not showing it? There we go. So we're gonna make this pretty small because hopefully that's small enough. I can't remember what what we were at last time. So anyway, yeah, I got the playback speed a little bit. So Red Dwarf, Season 1, Episode 2. Talked a lot about the pilot episode in my last video. It set the tone. 3 million years in the future. So you start out the show. It's a bunch of people on a mining ship. And it focuses in on this odd couple that share a bunk together. And they work together, but they're complete opposites. Odd couple kind of thing. And then next thing you know, the one guy gets in trouble. Lister, he gets in trouble. He has to go into stasis. Suspended animation. When he finally gets out, it's 3 million years in the future. Everybody's dead. And he thinks he's alone with the ship's computer, who's that head floating right there. Holly is a play on Hal from 2001. And he awakes Dave Lister from stasis. Says everybody's dead. It's 3 million years in the future. And then you're introduced to the fact that his odd couple bunkmate, Rimmer, is brought back and revived as a hologram. And then they also find out that the cat, which is the reason he was in stasis, was because he got in trouble for smuggling it aboard, is was safe during the radiation leak that killed everyone, and ended up breeding, and so his cat was pregnant, but they had kittens and kittens and kittens, and they evolved over time to become Felis sapiens, which are humanoid-like cat creatures. And that's where it leaves. They're going back to Earth, and we run into Episode 2, which is called Future Echoes. Now, a running theme on this show is, I like saying running when I see someone running. The running theme of the show is science fiction smeg type stuff. And I use smeg because that's the term for the show. But sci-fi, paradoxy, time travel, weirdy kind of stuff, which is great sci-fi material. And then they do it in a humorous way. So this one, Future Echoes, is no different. It's the first one where they really kind of step into that. Traveling through space, you're going to deal with all these like weird space phenomena. And so what happens is they decide to go back to Earth. Well, Earth is however many light years away. They're not going to get there in their lifetime. So the Lister goes, well, I'm going to have to go back into stasis while we travel to Earth. And then, yeah, there's a gag here. But like that wig on his head, it seems so British to me. It reminds me of some of the British shows on PBS or public television that I would watch, like specifically "Are You Being Served?" Just reminds me of that. But so anyway, as he's getting ready to go into stasis, he's teaching the cat about humans and what's going on. And the cat first learns about dogs. He's like, what is that? He has a great line where he says, there better not be any dogs around here. I might have to chase them. And then Lister kind of lies. He's like, they're gigantic and they're scary. And he's like, yeah, well, I'm going to have to chase them anyway. And then he has a great reaction here where he's walking backwards, just trying to act tough. And then he touches the wall and does a flinch jump right here. It's one of my favorite parts. So you're starting to learn the characters, learn more about the cat and all his cat-isms. Learn about Lister and his kind of slobby nature. This like low-tech, he has a robotic fish. I like how they use that. It's like not even that high-tech, but they're like, in the future, you're going to have robotic fish and all this shit. but a lot of humor playing on their personalities, and that really is where the majority of the humor and the majority of the storytelling goes. So it's like you get to know their characters, and then it's wrapped around, every episode's wrapped around whatever. It's not monster of the week, it's space phenomena of the week. And then you see the characters interact with the phenomena. So in this one, Lister is going to go back into stasis, and they're going to go, basically light speed. And before he gets into stasis and they're going light speed, they start having weird phenomena, which is these future echoes. So the first is here where Lister is shaving. He's seeing in the mirror, things are happening in the mirror that aren't happening to him in real time. He's seeing bits of the future. And that's the first future echo they see. And that's where they start realizing, oh, something's going on here. But it's a very simple camera trick where they just go, oh yeah, you have the mirror, it's a green, or a screen, he's looking at it, and they superimpose like the other stuff. There you go. That's hard to, I think it's all wonky. But the best scene in the entire show episode, and it's the one that sold me on this entire thing of Red Dwarf. When I first saw this, I'm like, I really like what these guys are doing. They did it very well, but they also did it very humorously, which is what I appreciate. And it's this one here. Lister walks in this room and he starts talking to Rimmer, but it's Rimmer in the future talking to Lister in the future, but present day Lister is unaffected by the situation. Now the reason why it works is because Rimmer's acting. He's acting like he's talking to a Lister who isn't there, and then the Lister who is there, he's acting like he's not there. And he does this whole scene extremely well, and then he runs through it again here in a second, exactly the same thing, but it's also the dialogue and the conception. So as he leaves, he comes back in, and that entire conversation he was having, they're about to have right now, which is basically him explaining, like, you were just here and you were having a conversation with no one. He's like, what are you talking about, But the dialogue's great, the humor's there. Chris Berry, who plays Rimmer, his acting was phenomenal because he basically runs through it twice, and you can tell it's two different recordings, but on the same hand, he does it flawlessly because there was no budget for, and I mean, this is 1989. There wasn't like, nowadays you just do that with computers and easy fucking thing, but. So that little interaction blew my mind, made me laugh my ass off, and I thought it was great. So anyway, they start seeing these future echoes, like they just saw the cat run by, and they walk in the room, and the cat's there, because they're seeing bits and pieces of the future. Basically, they're traveling faster than light, so time is moving at a different speed than what they're actually experiencing, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's all played for laughs, and the actual science behind it probably doesn't even line up and all that stuff, but it's for laughs, and it's very well done. So anyway, as the show goes on, Rimmer sees Lister die on a video, and he says, I just saw you die, as a future echo. And then so Lister finds out it's present, that he's going to die very soon. Because he says, how old did I look? What was I wearing? He's like, you're wearing the same thing you're wearing now. And he's like, how old did I look? He says, how old are you? He's like, 25. Mid-20s. So then Lister says, I gotta confront death, and I'm just gonna face it head on, whatever. It is what it is. And then, okay, this scene I love, because the cat just happens to have a hot dog bun in his coat to eat this fish. For whatever reason, that cracked me up the most, that he had a hot dog bun in his jacket. But so Lister is trying to stop something that happened in the future to prove that he doesn't have to die, but him trying to stop it is what causes it. So that was another great little bit of sci-fi smeg going on. But anyway, as he tries to stop it, they find out that he doesn't actually die. His future self comes to visit him and says, "Hey, I was you once. I'm here to tell you what. It's not you that you saw die. It's your son." And then they're like, "Well, how does he get a son?" Well, he gets twins. And there's a funny line where Rimmer goes, "How are you able to have twins when there's no women aboard?" And then he has a line where he says, "I don't know, but it's going to be a lot of fun figuring it out." Which it is for the audience, not so much fun for Lister. But as the show goes on, so much gets retconned and changed. It's kind of almost a joke within the fan base. Like, you can't keep the continuity because of a lot of things they talk about in season 1 just quit being a thing, you know? So anyway, that's how it ends. He sees himself in the future with his sons. Let's see. Yeah, more hair gag, more wig gag. And then the show ends with the theme song. And the theme song is another thing that totally sold me on it because it's an incredible theme song. Everyone who's watched the show knows it by heart, could recite it in their sleep. But it's such an upbeat, like, fun song, and it has nothing to do with the show. And I think that's what was endearing about it. And that's what made me, again, fall in love with it. I'm like, this show's crazy. I love it. I love the humor. I love the concept of all this crazy sci-fi stuff. Again, the sci-fi stuff isn't technically correct most of the time, I'm sure, but as long as it's done for fun. So anyway, there you go. That is season 2 of Red Dwarf. Or not season 2, episode 2 of my favorite show. And that was really the one that sold me on it, so it's still one of my favorite episodes. And that one scene of that future Echo where he's talking to him and he's not there, and then he comes back in the room and they do the whole scene over again and he is interacting with him. It is one of my favorite scenes in any show ever. I thought it was extremely well done. And they're using the effects they have at their disposal, which is not much, and making it happen on the strength of the acting and the dialogue and the concept. So they really pulled it off. Made me fall in love with that show. So if you have not, check it out. And I don't know much more to talk about. I will say, like, the whole wedding thing got me in perspective, because as I was leaving that night and I came home, put my head on my pillow, you know, my head's been swirling with marriage stuff. And the joke, or not the joke, the irony of me officiating the wedding was not lost on me. I don't think anybody else cared or thought twice. But, you know, as a single guy who has been married before and divorced, and, you know, then I was fairly recently engaged, and then that got called off. But I've been single for about a year and a half now. But when I go up there to officiate this wedding, and I'm telling the entire congregation of people, and also specifically telling the couple in front of me, my friends, about the wonders of marriage and how it's the most amazing thing. But the thing is, I really believe everything I said. It wasn't like I was up there just blowing smoke. But there is a certain amount of irony in that. So, like, at the crux of my speech was kind of that, well, it started out with the power of marriage, basically, that it's the most cherished, revered, and then I said, and even coveted of all human institutions. it's been around longer than recorded history. There's been marriage of some sort. And then cross-culturally, all the way up to present day, it's cherished, revered, and seen as the highest, the most cherished, most revered human institution. And with that is an inherent power. Like, why would it be? Well, because we know that it holds the possibility of the most dynamic, the pinnacle of human relationships and connection. I'm basically just doing like my speech, but not quite. But nonetheless, like, that was kind of at the crux. But then I also said, and when you have that most powerful of human connection, you have the potential of being way more capable, way more resourceful, and more strength, more power than you could ever have as an individual. And then I turned to them, because I know them very well, and I'm like, you guys are both capable, intelligent, strong, resourceful people individually, but together you're going to be that and then some. You will actually be stronger than you would be without each other. And I don't think that could be argued, but there was a caveat to that. When I said it's all predicated upon the respect and commitment to the vows you're going to make today. And that goes for both of you. If one person's doing it, the other isn't, it's almost useless. But when two people respect and commit to what they're actually saying and doing in front of this crowd of people, your loved ones have gathered, you definitely have that possibility of entering into the most powerful of relationships, and you also become your greater self than you ever could have been as an individual. And to me, I don't think that's arguable, and I'm a single guy, and I would love to argue it that it's better to be single. Now, there's certainly advantages, but the advantages to a marriage that works the way it's supposed to, I don't think it could be argued that you're going to be more capable, more resourceful, and more powerful with a good partner than you would alone. So anyway, that was kind of like the whole thing. But like, as I say that, I'm sitting there going like, yeah, I do 100% believe that. Like I said, I don't think it's arguable. But where I'm at in life, so then I got contemplative, and I'm like, am I ever going to, ante up and try a hand at this thing called marriage ever again? And I'm like, I don't know. And so I had to think about that. Because I'm enjoying being single in so many ways. But I also know the reality, like I said. Like, what I believe is that you're going to be stronger and more capable and more powerful as long as you do it right. Now, I've done it wrong before, so then I'm like, okay, well, and it's sometimes easier to see on the other side, like, of the equation, having been there. But the other thing is, like, to ante up and try again, like right now where I'm at in life, I don't want that disruption. Like, I feel a lot of good momentum with what I'm doing. And even though I think long term, having the right partner, what I'm doing would open up, like, in such a great way. I'd have more resourcefulness to do more with it. That initial, like, getting together with somebody and is such a big disruption. And there are people like, well, you just be yourself and they'd be themselves, but it's like you're smashing two worlds together. You can't deny that. And especially if there's a lot of romantic charge, like that initial time together, you're like fucking off everything else in life, You're like, I just want to be with them. And without that, it's almost hard to, like, have the wind carry you even further. So that would be a huge disruption. It would actually slow down my progress. But there's the potential. But finding the right partner is key, and then that's proved harder than you realize, and harder than anyone realizes until they find out that they picked somebody that it didn't work or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. But I was glad to like, say those things that I truly believe. But I'm like sitting there going like, how much do you believe them? Like are you ever gonna ante up and try again? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I don't want to right now. But it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm going to be trying to like get so much going that I'm like, could I do that with the distraction or the disruption of a new relationship? Even though in the long run, if done right, if it's the right person, and that's all those caveats, they just they make it less and less likely. But I don't know what the future holds, and I'm not getting any younger. So Thursday was my birthday. I don't announce it. I usually try to keep it on the down low, but Thursday was my birthday, and turned 44. Again, don't put me in the grave yet, but I'm older now than I ever have been, so naturally. But yeah, I wonder about that. I think about it because there is a niceness to having a partner, a romantic partner, like all the reasons why. But I don't know. So anyway, that's just like personal contemplation, and then I kind of told them at the end before I presented them, husband and wife. I went kind of like cheesy and normal, where I said, it's true, but it's very generic in a certain sense. But I was like, so after they exchanged vows, we did the whole repeat after me, and so I had to know what I was going to say, like, I take you, all this, repeat after me. Put the rings on each other's fingers, and then before I present them and have them kiss, I said, all these words these wonderful terms that we throw around, the faithfulness, trust, commitment, diligence, dedication. I'm like, at the core of all of it is love, like, love is the heartbeat of your marriage. But the truth is, I say, without the love that you have for each other, it's not possible to keep all these things. You want to be dedicated, you want to be loyal and faithful and trusting and committed, and it's like you have to have that love for the person. That's the desire to make those things happen and to keep up with those things. So, and then I ended with, I know how much you two love each other, so it gives me great pleasure to announce to you, by the power vested in me by the state of Washington, I pronounce you husband and wife. Kiss her. It was a lot of fun. I was very happy to do it. So anyway, with that, like, those are just kind of like personal thoughts, but it is interesting to think about, and I've got daughters, and I'm like, when I get to that point, hoping the best. The success rates aren't that good in modern day, and in past times, the divorce rates were lower, but there was probably a lot more unhappy relationships too. So it's a gamble. But when you truly believe it, then as a guy, you go down on one knee, and you plan a ceremony, you put the rings on, you believe it. So, but you take that risk, you ante up, you roll the dice, because the potential for something amazing, the most amazing, like I said, the most cherished and revered institution ever in humanity, I would say. We have political things, we have military things, we have work things, and even like parental things. And parenting is probably the only thing close as far as the reverence. But I still think we review marriage, as far as human connection and relationship, higher than parenting. And I think it's because it comes with the romantic side of things, and also the planning. They are quite different. They're almost on par, but I think we still esteem like marriage, and part of the reason is because, especially in this day and age, you can get out of it. You know, it's hard to get out of parenting. Some people do it, and fuck those people. But unless they have to, like, you know, like addiction or something like that, where it's better for your kid, I guess I can understand that. But with it comes that choice of, like, daily, we have to believe in this thing because there is an out. Even if it's a hard out, you know, there is an out. So I think that's why, and there, yeah. Anyway, that's all I got. So whether in a relationship, single, married, whatever your situation, I hope that you're just trying to be your best self. That's always the key to everything. You know, like I always say, face all your obstacles with power, strength, courage, kindness, care for the loved ones around you. I care for the world at large in an abstract way. You don't want to get too idealistic with that because you get weird, but you also don't want to forget it. Like, the world at large, as a whole, we are all important. This world the connection of being human with other humans. You forget that, like, at your own peril. But you over-idealize that at your own peril, too. So you definitely have to stay centralized with your protection and care and love. But I hope you're facing all things with power, courage, kindness, care. And most of all, integrity, because I think if you do that, time will prove you right. And then you can definitely let the chips fall where they will as much as possible and at least have a clear conscience. So, anyway, that's all I got. I've been going very long on this, so almost an hour. This is Odin. If you watched all of this, thank you so much. If we ever cross paths, let me know you watched this entire video. I'll buy you a drink. And take care. We'll see you next time.